Hey everyone, happy Monday. So we just did our 9th Monday for 80 Day Obsession and we finished our workout number 51. So that means we are literally on the downhill slide of this program. We have to send in our measurements and our pictures to corporate. That's our little homework assignment as being part of the test group. And so I redid my measurements and weighed myself. And as of today, 9 weeks into the program, actually starting week 9 and completing 50 workouts, I had lost 4.8 pounds and I had also lost 19 inches. I'm looking at my numbers. 7 inches off my waist and 5.5 off of my hips alone, and that's where a lot of people carry their weight. And so I'm really excited. There's been amazing transformations within the group that I've seen. Some that were a lot leaner than I was to begin with. You can see like abs galore. So this program is like working great. So I'm excited about this week because it's brand new workouts. It's the final month, phase 3, and they mix up the schedule. So last month we were doing the arms, abs, and ass workout on Friday, I think. Yeah, Friday. And now it's been moved up to Monday. So they're always keeping us guessing. Today's workout was like a little over 45 minutes and it flew by. So I remember thinking that, wow, I don't think I can do 1 hour workouts when I was in the Shift Shop test group back in May and the workouts were close to an hour. And I have. Like, I slowly built up to it. And when 80 Day Obsession came, I was ready for it. And these hour workouts fly by. And I realized that I'm not too busy to work out. And that's the one thing that Autumn's really, really like drilling in our head is self-care and taking care of ourselves. And working out is the best gift we can give ourselves. So that was pretty amazing. Yesterday, I went to Dallas to spend time with some of my coaches that live in the area, and we went to our event that happens about 3 times a year where we all come together, and it's really amazing. And I posted earlier that, it's so funny whenever this presidential candidate was just nuts. And the day that it was announced that Trump was going to be our new president, the world was kind of in upheaval. And I was with a bunch of my fit family and we headed off to a Tony Robbins event. And inside that event of like almost 10,000 people, it was the most calm, peaceful environment. And we're talking about lots of people that come with struggles and pain. And it was so peaceful. And yesterday before I left, I saw on the news a huge uproar about Trump and the way he feels about the NFL. And last time I checked, he was upset at ESPN. And I saw it on Facebook. And then I went to this event and there was like, I don't know, maybe 300, 400 people there. And everybody was smiling. Everybody was happy. We cried a lot because there were so many people sharing some very, very vulnerable things about their life and how fitness and how our community has helped them. And I just thought, yesterday was my 700th day of sobriety, and I am so thankful for this community of people that have supported me in everything that has led up to where I am today, and I'm so thankful for that. But that's really an accomplishment, and I say this because I want to share with people that you can do anything. There's always just this moment of decision where you decide you've had enough. Maybe you're enough drinking, enough of your relationship, enough of, feeling bad, and you make a decision. And I really encourage you to stop waiting for the right time for something to happen. If you're miserable or uncomfortable or something just doesn't sit right with you, then make a choice to make a decision. I have been sharing a lot about a book that I was reading called The 5-Second Rule from Mel Robbins. I actually finished it on my drive to Dallas yesterday because I drove like 3.5 hours there and back. And something that I learned and is really cool about her, and I shared this before, is that she has a history of mental illness like myself, and you might never know that looking at her, seeing her success. And so many people out there are suffering from anxiety and depression and bipolar and all these different things, and they think that they're cursed and they think that they can't live a healthy, happy life, and they can. And there are so many people who are like how I used to be and think that successful people were just successful. And I have realized now from reading books, attending seminars, studying successful people, that all these successful people, they have just as much junk and garbage as the rest of us. They've just learned to see it in a different light and try different things to find a solution. And then when they find that solution, they want to share it with the world. And that has led to them finding their passion, their purpose, their reason why they were created. And then when you're doing something that really fills up your soul, that really it drills into your core purpose, that's how you find success. So many people chase money and they don't ever see success because they're chasing money, not really their passion. But one of the things that she shared is that how she had beat anxiety, beat depression. She had taken, I think, I don't even know, it was Zoloft or something, or Lexapro or something. So she had used, prescription medication to help her. Her children had suffered from mental illness, and so they worked together on this. But what I found so fascinating about this book is that as she put together the 5-second rule, which is something that I think everybody needs to do, because so many people get caught up in their head and they don't make the right decisions and they overthink things and they just don't live in the moment, is that she started to do some research about our brains. And it was interesting that she talked about panic. And I have suffered from anxiety and panic attacks since I was a child. I actually recently was asked to share my story, and I actually wrote this long story about how I ended up an alcoholic, or whatever I want to call it. I don't really know if I consider myself an alcoholic, and how I got sober. And one of the things they shared was that as a child, I had panic attacks. At 4 years old, I would break out in full hives. My OCD kicked in. So I know exactly, what it feels like. And I know so many people reach out to me and feel the same way. So she explained why it happens. And I've been sharing a lot that some of these things just happen to us and we don't understand because it's our brain. And again, I said this, and I'm going to keep reminding you guys that our brain was literally put in our body just as a survival mechanism. It does whatever it can to help us survive, to stay away from pain, to avoid it. And so a lot of times getting in your head is the worst thing to do. That's why we have a heart. We follow our heart. So she was talking about panic. So this is an example. You're driving down the freeway or wherever, and a car cuts you off, and you halt, the brakes go screeching to a halt, and you miss them by this much. I've had stuff like that happen where you're literally your heart is in your chest, you're palms are sweaty, you're breathing heavy, and those are the symptoms that people experience when they're excited, when they're having anxiety, when they're nervous. So those things happen. But when you're able to look at the situation that just caused all of that anxiety and all of those physical reactions to the thing that caused panic, and you realize, oh shit, we almost could have died because that idiot ran out in front of us, but thank God we didn't. So once your brain can make sense of what was going on, then it has a chain reaction to send to your body to lower your heart rate, lower your breath, get you to calm down. And so there are people out there who suffer from panic attacks and anxiety. And I know that here's an example of what I do. So I'll be thinking wow, my life's so great. I love my husband. My kids are so great. Everything's going so good. I feel so good. And I catch myself in my head thinking man, things used to be so shitty 2 years ago. I am just so in love and blah, blah. And then as soon as that happens, I'm oh shit. Something could happen any minute. Ryan could die. He could leave me. My kids might end up hating me. Somebody's going to come in and try to tell my husband to leave me. Or somebody's going to... all these stupid things start coming in my head. That my adopted parents are coming in my life and disrupting. All those things happen. And that is also a protective, survival, part of the mechanics of your brain of when you're happy, you need to have an exit plan. You need to have a strategy. You need to safeguard yourself so you don't get hurt. But when that happens, then I will start having panic. And there's sometimes, like I've said before when I've shared about my mental illnesses, sometimes these feelings, I'll just be sitting there and I'll just start to want to cry, or I'll sit there and I'll just be stressed or worried and upset. And this is not just me. I hear it from so many people. But the reason why panic attacks don't go away and why people's anxiety gets so bad is if you can't figure out where this is coming from. Your brain doesn't understand. When you have panic because you're fearful that your children are going to die, your husband's going to die, your wife's going to leave you, whatever, that panic, your brain can't differentiate the panic there between that and like physical panic, like being chased by a dog that's trying to, chew your leg off, or getting in a wreck, or, falling off a cliff, like, it doesn't understand. It just understands panic. And if you're sitting there and you're not aware of your thoughts, if you're not aware of what's going on, if you can't figure out why you're panicked, why you're freaking out, then your body just stays in that constant panic state, because there's nothing in your brain that can make sense of why you're feeling that way, that can send the natural, chain reaction to your body to calm yourself down. And that's why so many people, when they have panic attacks, it's that they can't think clearly, they can't think straight, they're super upset about something, and then those things start to really heighten. Like, you start panicking. You'll notice that anytime somebody has a panic attack, anxiety attack, especially when people say calm down, that is literally the worst thing to do, to tell somebody when they're having anxiety or panic attack, because trust me, if they could calm down, they would. But that's why most people bolt towards the door, because again, our brain is made to keep us alive and help us survive. So if you can't figure out, if your brain can't figure out and make heads or tails of what's causing you to panic, those physiological things are going to keep going, and you're going to bolt out of whatever situation, the door, the room, wherever you are, to get away, because your body senses some sort of danger. And so this is why I share that what I read, and this is why I read all the time. Or I don't really read, I actually listen through Audible. Sorry, I don't want to misinform you. I don't read, I listen to books through Audible, but I learn these things. This is why I go to these events where I can find this information, because there's so much about my life, there's so much about the way I think that just doesn't make sense. And I know so many other people out there, it doesn't make sense to them either. So if I can help you understand this and make you more self-aware, encourage you to do the same thing, put work into yourself, to really invest in yourself, learn more about the body, about the brain, about how to, develop yourself as a person, so that you're growing, so you're not just staying in the same spot. These are the things that can help you get past some of these major issues that hold people back every day, where they can't have good relationships, they can't go in public, they are afraid to ask questions, they're afraid to go to social events. But these are the things that I'm learning from this book, and it made me understand. So me doing the work that I'm doing on myself has made me become more self-aware. So my anxiety actually has died down some. I do believe that I have a chemical imbalance, and I will just keep monitoring myself as I put more work into myself. But I have noticed that when I pick a fight with my husband, when I start to feel panicky, when I start racing through my mind, and all these horrible images of my kids dying go through my head, I have been able to figure out, ask myself, like, but is that really true? Like, is that really something that's gonna happen? And I've made the resolve to constantly challenge myself and ask myself that, yes, my kids could die, yes, my husband could leave me, or all the things that go through my head, but like, is there actually any proof right now that really support this fear? And usually, every time I've been doing this, there is none. It's just panic. And then I'm like, well, why am I doing this? Oh, because I'm afraid that I don't have security, because I didn't have security since I was a child. So I'm not going to keep living by my past, but like, I understand that I didn't grow up in a secure home. And so security is something that I've always I've never had. I've got myself in a situation so I didn't have it, and then when I did have it, I freaked out that it was going to be taken from me, and I didn't want to get too comfortable. So when I realized that, I'm not like, oh, that's my problem, I'm just going to stay that way. So that's why I've been really working hard on those parts of things to help me get past that. And I'm asking myself constantly about the things that I am worrying about that are stealing my joy, like that. Is this worth it? Am I going to worry about it 5 years from now? Because how many times have you possibly been in the same situation where everything was great and you felt this like feeling of euphoria and you thought your life was wonderful, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, am I foolish for thinking this? Is something going to happen? Is it just in my head? And then you could have been spending a wonderful day with your family, and then all of a sudden fucking 30 minutes went by and you didn't even get to enjoy what you were doing because you were so fucking worried about what possibly could happen that would ruin that moment. And that's what I have promised myself that I am no longer going to do, and I'm going to call myself on it. But I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't have been around so many positive people that helped me figure out my self-worth, which in turn gave me the confidence to do things that required courage. And I'm talking about in the beginning, courage meant just working out in front of my family in my living room. I mean, I feel that I'm very courageous now, but back then it was those small things. But those small little steps of courage are what built my confidence. And when I felt more confident, then I started to see what I was capable of. And when I started to see what I was capable of, I started investing in myself and started doing things over and above and beyond eating healthy and working out, but really investing in personal development to learn more about myself. And when I did that, I've had a lot of self-discoveries. And with that, I've wanted to share with people and help more people. And when I help more people and influence them, it gives me a greater sense of purpose. And it gives me less time to focus on what I think is fucked up in my life. And when I do that, then I'm able to pay it forward. And I get a sense of growth and contribution by helping people. And so people don't understand what I do, why I do it. They don't understand why I work out all the time, why I go to events with all these amazing people, why I'm always talking about what I do. But it's given me life. It's given me the ability to be present and not consumed with worry, fear, and doubt. It doesn't mean that I don't deal with that, but I don't let it consume me anymore. And I share this openly because I'm hoping that what I say will fall upon ears of people who want to change, who have felt hopeless, who have felt lost, and want to have a change in their life so that they can start making small acts of courageousness that will lead to them living a great life. And so many people who are my age, I'm 36, almost 37, I feel like have just given up. Like they've given up on life. And the more that I read and around people of influence, I've been finding that these authors and that these people that are deemed successful, they're like in their 40s and sometimes 50s before they even figure out what the fuck they want to do and before they even found a passion. So however old you are, it is never too late to figure out what you want to do. And the fact that I beat myself up for the first like 30 years that I thought that I didn't have my life figured out, I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I'm like way ahead of people, a lot of people who have been successful before me. So here's the thing. You can change your situation by changing your thoughts. You can change your physical being by changing your thoughts. Everything that you have in your life is a result of decisions you've made because of the way you thought. And the way most people think are really because of who they've been influenced by. So if you're making bad decisions, if you're feeling depressed all the time, if you're feeling negative, angry, you might want to check your circle of people you hang out with, because you might be adopting their feelings. And I know how scary it is to change your circle of, social circle, but I would rather not just have friends that keep me in such a negative state and don't want me to be happy than take a break and find the right people that really push you. And most of my friends are all across the world, and so I don't get to see them every day. But I know that when I see them, my time with them is super quality, and then it's super genuine, and I'm not just settling for mediocre, half-assed, stab you in the back kind of friendships that I have in the past just to have warm bodies. And so anyways, I hope what I've said was helpful. I just started a new book the other day as well, called Find Your Why. So I'll be sharing more about that as I learn. And I hope that this helps you. If you guys have any questions, or if you're curious about the service that I use to listen to the books, let me know. I can get you hooked up with 2 free books.